Hey there everyone, Rambling Collector here, and welcome back to another book review today. So, this one is going to be a little weird, as it is another comic review, but one you all may or may not know. So we're going to be talking about Archie Comics, specifically Archie Horror, which is the first volume of Chilling Adventures in Sorcery. So, I know of Archie Comics through mainly the old Archie series, as well as Josie and the Pussycats, and especially Archie Sonic, which I've read a few of those issues in the past, but never really caught up with the series. And to that I have great regrets, as I've heard amazing things about the Archie Sonic series, but I'm here to talk about Archie Horror. So, this one here was actually very interesting. It caught my attention because at this point I did not know that Archie Comics even had a horror section, or even any stories pertaining to teens or adults or anything like that. So this was definitely a nice little surprise for me. But essentially what this one is that it's a collection of short horror stories, all told in black and white. And you have things from like werewolves to science experiments gone wrong to vampires to magicians, all that stuff, all portrayed here in this one collection. And the one thing I do like is the actual inclusion of great black and white art. I mean, look at this. You all can't look at that and tell me you would not be intrigued. And I will say, the black and white art was definitely a nice touch, adding to the more spooky, supernatural vibe that I was getting off of this. But one major thing that I have one minor complaint about is just how slow these comics were. Like, don't get me wrong, they were amazing in their own right. However, the thing with this is the fact that as I kept reading it, it felt exhausting trying to continue with it. And I know that's going to be something I'm going to probably run into a lot with older works, especially ones like this that have that older, more descriptive style of writing. Hell, I had that same kind of issue with Dracula, and that was a 500-page book. Thank God I was able to finish it back in October to at least be able to do a review for it for Halloween. But regardless, though, the thing is that I still enjoyed it, but it felt almost like a slog to get through it. Hell, at one point I actually stayed up until near 2 o'clock in the morning just to be able to finish all of it, and by the time I did, my brain felt absolutely cooked. So I will say this much, you guys, if you do like much more slower paced but very wordy types of comic books, Archie Horror is definitely up there. Will I probably check out more of the series? I think I might in the future at some point after I've at least taken down a few of the other comic books and stuff that I've got in my collection, which, believe me when I say this, guys, I've got a lot. I've got so many graphic novels and like single print series and things like that stuck in my collection that I still have to get through. If you've all seen my channel, you've probably seen that one short that I did showing all of the Question comics. Yeah, that took me a while to be able to find all those comics in decent condition, and at some point I really want to dive into those. I know it might take me a while to finish them all, but by the time I'm done, I'm going to be making a massive video of just that alone. But, again, I will give credit where credit is due and say that this is definitely interesting if you are a horror fan, or if you're interested in a more slower, older English type of story. But I will say some of them were more fast-paced than others. I think one of my honest favorites is one where someone who's a bit of a cat's paw gets caught by this ancient magician or sorceress, and he's forced to watch her absolutely flirt with and seduce other men, trying to get them into their riches and such. But eventually, she is taken down by one man who's not interested in her, and she actually gets a spell cast on her as retribution. And as a matter of fact, it's actual sweet payback when the one man who actually wanted her, and that she has been locking away in a trunk for years, is now the predator and she is the prey. So I find that a bit of cold irony, and I absolutely loved that. But I also really like the ones of like the Wolfman or vampires. Hell, there was one I read where a man's sister supposedly dies in an insane asylum. He goes to investigate to find out what's going on, only to find that the doctor who is treating all of these patients is in fact a vampire, and it recently converted the main character's sister. It was a very nice little plot twist, I will say. Definitely had a bit of a spooky vibe to it, and I will say some of it is a little spooky, but not something too uncomfortable, I will say. I will say this much, you guys, I have read worse. I've read much worse when it comes to detail and graphic when it comes to horror stories. If you're interested in that, check out my reviews of E.L. Jefferson's books and you'll see what I mean. Those things mentally scarred me after reading them. They were horrifying for a whole nother reason rather than just being spooky. But with Archie Horror, I'm actually kind of curious to read more and see what else there is, if I may. But again, if you want something that has like a bit of a long-winded storytelling, but has a wide variety of great comics, like, I'm not kidding when I say this, guys. The sheer detail when it comes to this artwork, just to give you another example, I mean, look at this. That is absolutely impressive, and I really enjoyed that. That was one of the main highlights that really kept me going and wanting to read more, was seeing more of this great artwork. That was one of the main pulls for me when I finished this one. But if I were to give this collection any sort of rating, like, personally, I would say a good 7 out of 10. It's not bad, has some great stories and a good variety in here that are really well done, but the slow pacing or the sheer grind of it, I would say, definitely bogged it down for me. The fact that I had to stay up late, well, because at one point I couldn't sleep, but even then I felt myself feeling mentally exhausted by the time I was done. That tells you a lot. So 7 out of 10 isn't too bad in my opinion. Great artwork, really cool stories, but very slow paced, and at times could feel like more of a grind than is necessary. But if you guys are horror fans and you genuinely want to check this out, I would say give it a shot. Give it a chance, especially if you're either an Archie Comics fan or if you're a horror fan who's looking for some good horror fiction. Definitely would recommend, and if you guys like this video, feel free to leave a like. Comment your thoughts down below. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to let me know those in the comments below as well. I might not get to them immediately, but I will get to them, and in time, I can promise you that. And once again, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this crazy man's ramblings about books, comics, manga, whatever may come. I've really appreciated your support for this whole entire time, and I hope to see you all again in a future review. Anyways, this is Rambling Collector, signing off for now, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day, fellow readers.